Okay, hello, my name is Chris. As Brady said, I'm a graduated senior now from Carnegie Mellon. I did engineering. I did a double major in, you can go to the next one. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Yeah, so I did a double major in chemical and biomedical engineering and a minor in chemistry. And like Brady also said, I graduated with honors and things like that. So today I'll be talking a little bit myself and kind of like what I did during high school to build my college application, then kind of my process in choosing college, and then building my medical school application in college, and then like the things I'd do differently if I could go back to high school and college. And I guess I'm just kind of walking through my journey today. So yeah. So first about me, I went to Prospect High School, which is near Saratoga. I had a 4.0 unweighted GPA with a 4.3 weighted GPA. I took most of the APs Prospect had to offer. 30 for my NCAT, ranked 13 in my class. My kind of big thing was that I did 4 years of student government, and by the end of my senior, I was on the executive board for student government. And also for the classes, the AP classes I did well in, I really enjoyed. I was a tutor for the other students at the school. And then at Carnegie Mellon, like I said, I did the double major with the chemistry minor. I graduated with a 3.94 GPA and had university and college honors. I was also recognized by the Engineering Honor Society, and I also presented the Outstanding Senior Award at my ceremony and also won a Carnegie Mellon McCabe Society Award in chemical engineering. Okay, so walking briefly through my college application, I knew I wanted to do biomedical engineering because like AP Bio and also like AP Physics. I really enjoyed how those intersected with each other. So applying to college, I knew I wanted to do biomedical engineering. And to do engineering, you kind of, you need obviously like the technical skills, so like the grades and like the AP credit and stuff. But as I was talking to a lot of like my mentors and people who already were like in college and asking them what I should do to apply to college, a lot of them emphasize kind of like the more emotional desire to do like good with your engineering degree. So in my college application, I focused a lot on like the idea of like making projects to better my community and the people around me rather than just focusing on like academics. So yeah. So in my college application, I combined my experiences like being part of my community with my community service, working with other students at my school with strong writing. I had this common theme through my application, personal growth through like kind of unconventional means, and kind of some things I talked about on my application were like anime, coursework that I really liked, and like just sad like music. Yeah. And overall, I found that this formula kind of worked out. I got into USC and Carnegie Mellon and also some UCs like UCLA and UCSD. And now I was presented with like a really like solid choice of 4 universities to attend. And the question I wanted to answer was which university would best prepare me for either a career in engineering or a career in medicine. Because medicine is a very challenging career. Even if you want to do it, you might not always make it. So I wanted like some kind of net to catch me in case I couldn't make it, which may sound a little daunting, but I just wanted to be prepared for anything that could happen. And what I found the best college for me was Carnegie Mellon. And this is because it kind of like had a 2-step plan for me. And that was either I go to school, I decide I don't want to do medicine, and I can just become a biomedical or chemical engineer from a pretty prestigious university with like strong academics. Or I could try to do pre-med, I could fail, but also still have that double degree to fall back on in case things work out. It didn't work out. So yeah, that's why I ended up choosing Carnegie Mellon. And now I want to talk about my experience being pre-medicine at Carnegie Mellon. Overall, it was very busy and pretty challenging, but also very doable as long as you put in like the work and the dedication. And now I just want to talk about like some things that medical schools are looking for and things I kept in mind during my 4 years at Carnegie Mellon. Medical schools are looking for strong academics to show that these matriculants, these applicants will do well in school. They're looking for research experience. So medicine is always changing, and they want doctors to always be involved with the process and the way the field is moving. Thirdly, being a doctor is very challenging. It's a very long time commitment. So they want these applicants to also show dedication to healthcare and that they're not just going to kind of like pop out after a few years of med school. And lastly, leadership experience. Being a doctor is the same as being a leader. You need leadership qualities in order to like lead the teams you're working on or lead the people you work with. And these are kind of the 4 things I had in mind as I was doing pre-med at CMU. And I kind of ranked them in this order because I knew going into CMU I'd be very busy. So I had a priority list for which ones I wanted to do, and they're presented here. So first of all, as always, you need strong academics. CMU is a very small school. I think it has around 10,000 students. 10,000 students. So I knew it would be really easy to get into research and have a strong research background. So that's why it was second on my list. And then the last 2 were kind of things that I wanted to do after the fact. I had touched a little bit of like volunteering and like shadowing and leadership, but those are things I want to focus on more after I graduated rather than in school because I didn't want to overwhelm myself. And next, I kind of just also wanted to outline what a typical applicant looks like. So these are the stats for the average accepted students, so the matriculants who actually get into med school. And as you can see, you need a really strong GPA. Of all the applicants with a 3.8 GPA and higher, about 60% of them got accepted, and you see this drops off a lot as you go lower. So it's really important to have a strong GPA, and same with your MCAT score. 517 out of 528 is the 95th percentile score, but only 80% of those applicants are accepted. And also, outside of like just academics, a lot of these applicants have over 1,000 hours of research under their belt, and also over a couple hundred hours of community service as well. Okay, so first I wanted to walk through academics. So at CMU, I was very busy being a double major in 2 engineering programs. But I worked hard. I came out with a really strong GPA, 3.94. But one thing that really helped me keep that GPA up, even though I was taking really difficult engineering classes, was that I was taking a lot of extra classes that were really easy. So they kind of inflated my grade. Carnegie Mellon is a semester system, and usually to graduate from a semester school, you only take 120 credits in order to graduate. But Carnegie Mellon does credits a little bit differently, but I essentially graduated with 167 credits, which is about 40 credits more of classes that I had to take, but those like really helped me keep my GPA up. And the second thing is that medical schools look at 2 different GPAs. They have your cumulative GPA, which is just like the GPA you have on your transcript, but they also have your science GPA, and these are for your physics, chemistry, math, and biology classes. And one cool thing you can do here is that you can kind of pick and choose which classes enter that category. So being engineering, I kind of got to choose which engineering class I did well in to put in that category, and the other engineering class I didn't do well in, I put out of that category, which is why my science GPA is higher than my cumulative GPA. But albeit not by much. And next, I took my MCAT last summer and got a 514 out of 528, which is a decent score. It's a 90th percentile score. That's also the average of the applicants who are accepted into med school. But honestly, I wasn't very satisfied with it. I was performing much better on my practice exam, so I'm planning to retake it this summer. So next, research experience. Research, again, is a very important part of your application. Top medical schools, like maybe the top 30, top 20, top 40 maybe, it's not explicitly said anywhere that research is a requirement, but it's very much so a requirement. They will not really look at your application if you don't have like a decent research background. So going into CMU, I definitely knew I wanted to get into research as soon as I could. So my freshman year in one of my classes, there's a professor who came in and she gave some presentation about the research she was doing, and I was interested, so I talked to her. And this is my professor, Elizabeth Wayne, and I'm very close with her now. I've been doing research with her for a long time, and yeah, we're very close, and yeah. And then at the end of my first year, when COVID hit, I started doing remote research. So basically I got into research at the end of my freshman year, but I know there are applicants who kind of get into it at the end of their first semester or maybe a little bit later at the start of their second semester. It really depends, but what matters the most is that you're getting a lot out of it. And then at the end of my second year, I won a $3,000 summer research stipend. So I stayed in Pittsburgh for a summer and did research for an entire summer. Yeah. And then in my last 2 years, I continued to do research, maybe like 9 hours a week. And at the end of my last year, I got a co-author on a publication. For those who don't know, when you're doing research, the ultimate goal is to like discover something new and write a paper about it. And usually the people who write the paper are like PhD students or like professors, doctors. So as like someone in school, you don't really have the chance to like be the first author on the paper, but you could be the second or third author by helping with experiments or helping write some sections. So for me, I was the second author on a paper that was submitted, and it'll be revealed soon, and hopefully it'll make the cut and be actually published. And then to cap off my senior, I graduated with college honors. At CMU, in order to graduate with college honors, you need to be invited to the program, and then you have to do years of research, and you have to also present your research at the school-wide symposium. So that's what I did at the very end of my senior, and I did well, and I graduated with honors. And yeah, so that was my research experience in college, and now I want to talk a little bit about the volunteering, shadowing, and leadership I did on the side. Like I said earlier, it's okay. I didn't do too much of this because I was focused on grades and research, but I did do some of it when I could, especially in my last year. So in my last year, I volunteered at a hospital working with geriatric patients, and I got about 100 volunteer hours out of this. And also towards the very end, I shadowed this one cardiologist that I just emailed. He was very kind. He let me come into his hospital and watch him do some heart procedures. That was really cool to see. And also, throughout my last year, I was working to create this new organization at CMU called the Vietnamese Student Association. And I guess that's like kind of speaking to some leadership qualities. And I want to continue advising this club throughout the next few years, even though I'm not at CMU anymore. So what are my plans after graduation? I'll be taking 2 gap years and applying next year. So the way it works is you apply, and then after you apply in around April, you'll get like secondary applications and interviews for the remaining year. So from the time you apply, it takes a full year for your cycle to finish. So I'll be taking 2 gap years, but I'll be applying next year. And in these 2 gap years, I'm planning to do a few things. Obviously, I'm going to be doing cardiovascular research at Stanford for the 2 full years. Hopefully, I get some very valuable research experience out of that, but also some very strong letter of recommendations from Stanford professors and faculty. I'll also be on the side focusing on more shadowing and volunteering community service, which are some things I didn't get to do as much during my undergrad when I was like busy with work. I'll also be retaking the MCAT this summer, as I said previously, and I'll be shadowing a physician this summer as well for about 80 hours. Obviously, as like time moves on and as I move into my gap years, I want to shadow other physicians and other specialties in order to have an idea of like which area I kind of want to go into. And lastly, I'll also be continuing to advise the Carnegie Mellon VSA chapter that I founded in order to like keep that going, because it's something I really care about and I do want to write about on my applications when I do apply. Oh, and also I'll be volunteering at Kaiser Permanente throughout the time as well. Yeah, and these are just a few things I'm doing. I'm sure many more opportunities will pop up throughout my time in my 2 gap years, but this is what I have set out and planned for right now. So this is just something I'd like to share with you all. And yeah, revisiting high school and college, things I wish I would have done differently is, one, in both high school and college, I wish I talked to teachers and professors more. They really are just like supporting you and like kind of want the best for you. So yeah, I wish I just got to talk to them more, get to know them more, and it would have led to some strong letter of recommendations too, which is always nice. Secondly, I wish I would have started volunteering sooner. I know I was busy in like college with academics and high school with academics as well, but even volunteering for like a few hours every weekend really adds up over like a long period of time. And then thirdly, in high school, I had like good grades and everything, and I had that kind of empathetic background I built up as an engineer and through the clubs I founded and the things I was part of. But I wish I also got more technical experience in high school, doing like more engineering work, joining like engineering clubs, making things with like my own hands, learning new like technical skills and things like that. I think that would have really helped improve my college applications. But honestly, I got into CMU, so maybe it didn't need that much work. And lastly, this is just kind of like my own like excuse or cope, but my my score on my MCAT wasn't as good as my practice exams, so I wish I just like slept better the night before or something like that. But who knows? And yeah, this is kind of just an extra slide I wanted to include. A lot of med schools don't have hard prerequisites for their schools, like Stanford, USC. They don't really say, oh, you need to take these classes, but some other med schools say explicitly, you need to take these classes. But in general, this is kind of like a rough idea of like the classes you want to take. You want to take biology with the lab, you want to take chemistry with the lab, organic chemistry with the lab, physics with the lab, 2 semesters of college English, and some semesters of calculus, statistics, and everything else you take is not really required. They just kind of help your application. So these would be like psychology, biostatistics, cell biology, things like that. They may also help on your MCAT, so that's good too. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Thanks for letting me speak.